1927, the village of Beeton was the center of a series of events that included multiple thefts, the regular disappearance of cattle and pigs from local farmers, the tragic death of 2 children from a gunpowder explosion, and the death of a would-be burglar, which would ultimately connect these events. So I'm going to ask Doug to start off.
What did he want me to talk about?
Talk about
I'm not sure, Mark,
the rustling.
the cattle rustling, okay. Well, I think probably the most of you have heard that story, but I can just sort of go over it again. What I'm going to tell you about it is what my father told me about it. He happened to be reeve of the township at that time, and so he was involved in quite a bit of the business that went on. And apparently, the gentleman that Alec Hodge lived on the, I think it was the 9th concession of Tecumseh, and he was a bachelor farmer, and he had sold some cattle to, at that time they were known as drovers, I guess, and the man that bought the cattle was a guy by the name of Joe McDermott, and I think his partner was Mr. Hamill. They bought these cattle, and I just reading a short summary on it here. I think he was paid the sum of $600. And the story I've heard is that they came in the evening to pay him, and it was dark, and they parked the car out at his gateway. It was a short laneway into his house. He walked out to the gate, and he said they counted the money out in the headlights of the car. And of course, most people were dealing in cash at that time. He took the money and walked back towards the house and went in the house. And he apparently, this is the story I was told, that he put it up on the shelf in the cupboard. And he turned around, and there was a man there, and he shone a flashlight in his eyes, and he said, "Give me that money." And then at that point, I guess a wrestling match or something took place. And Alec Hodge wasn't as big as the man that was pointing a flashlight at him, but somehow or other he got his hands around his neck, and the story is that he choked him, and they went around the house quite a bit, and I heard that the stove was upset. It was an awful mess. But in the end, the man, his name was Forsythe, he was dead. And that broke the whole case open. And so from there on, I guess Joe McDermott and Hamill were suspects, but it was proven that Joe McDermott was the ringleader of this gang. They used to go around at night gathering up cattle, and they had a big pasture right directly behind the Cookstown sale barn, now down in the Broken Front. And that's where they drove them to at night. It's unbelievable. That's what they say happened. However, Joe McDermott was taken to court, and he got a sentence of, I think, 6 years. And there was a lot of other people involved in it, but that's basically the story that I've heard. And I could answer some questions if you like afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, Bob, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think Doug has pretty well covered the most of it. I basically did the same when I was doing research for my one of my books, The Last Harvest, and I got into the more also the trial of the so-called robbers or rustlers, and I'll go on from here. The resulting investigation led to various charges laid against 10 individuals. By the trial date, the charges had been withdrawn from 4 of the accused. Of the 6 who were tried, 2 were acquitted. And the drover, Joe McDermott, he received 6 years. And the next in line was the one that Doug mentioned, lived behind the sale barn, Ed Hickland. He got 3 years, and the third received 2 years and 6 months, and the fourth one was found guilty, but his sentence was suspended. And other than that, I haven't anything different than what Doug has already relayed.
But Bob, don't you have a story about having met Joe?
Pardon?
Had you met Joe? Had you met Joe?
I met him once, and the strange thing about Joe, he never looked you straight in the eye. He was always wandering around all over the horizon, but he never looked the person he was talking to straight in the eye. And that's all that I remember of him. Somebody asked me, well, did you shake hands? And I said, I don't remember. And he said, well, did you count your fingers? But, it was quite the story in the community for pretty well a year or 2.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Doug.